Thanks also to all the Irish farmers, growers and fishermen who are producing foods of the highest possible standards, foods and ingredients that we're using in these recipes. Okay, welcome back to my series of cookery classes and master classes and recipes. Today we're doing a tiramisu. The tiramisu is one of my favorite Italian desserts. The important thing is to get the balance right. You don't want it to be too sweet, you don't want too much coffee in it, you don't want too much liqueur in it. So this recipe is tried and tested, and I'm using a Tia Maria today. I've got on my own lovely medley blend of coffee beans, which is great. Now, the thing with the tiramisu is there are quite a few elements, so you kind of have to concentrate, you kind of have to get your timing right, otherwise the thing will just fall flat. I tend to serve it in a wine glass, but today I'm going to serve it in a lovely, great big gin and tonic glass. You will normally get about 20 portions from this recipe in traditional wine glasses, or 10 large portions in a cake tin. So to begin with, traditionally, and I'm going to cheat this recipe because I'm going to use a Thermomix. I've got this little machine here, which is my little trusted reliable. Normally you would actually have saucepan of water, boiling water, you've got your egg in there, and you're going to cook it out with your sugar. But for today, I'm going to put it into my Thermomix. So I've got 4 egg yolks straight in there, and I'm going to cook this. And the wonderful thing about a Thermomix, it cooks as well. As I said, you don't need it. You could just use a bain-marie of water and heat that through. So in here with my sugar, I'm going to put half my sugar in there, and I'm going to turn this on, and then I can work away and work on the other elements here. So I'm going to do this at about 65 degrees. You don't want to cook the eggs out. You don't want scrambled eggs in your tiramisu. And this is the other great thing about this kind of a machine is that you can set the temperature. So the other important thing here with gelatine and with the tiramisu is to make sure it sets. I tend to use gelatine sheets. Now you can also use the gelatine packs, which I think are about 25 grams per pack, but I'm going to use these sheets here. One sheet, now these are commercial sheets that I have in the commercial kitchen in Medley. One sheet that you get in a pack was about 100 millilitres of liquid. So we have approximately 500 millilitres of liquid, which in essence means 5 of these sheets. What's important to do is to soak those in water, and then you rinse the water out. So, do you know what? I'm going to put 6 sheets in to make sure it's going to set. Now I have that just in water, and I want that just to kind of soak the water in. And then once that gets a little bit soft, I'm then going to cook it out with some of my mix. Now, the other elements to this dish, we have some lovely mascarpone cheese, so that's 250 milligrams. I've got some freshly brewed coffee. As I said, we've got our Tia Maria cold brew coffee liqueur. You could have a little tipple of that when you're cooking away. This may not be the dessert for kids, but it works very well. I'm using a really good vanilla bean paste here as well, which most supermarkets have these days. If you went back 5 years ago, it's very difficult to get a good coffee bean, but I tend to use these, they're great. So that's cooking out lovely, and I'm going to put the rest of my sugar in there, and then I'm going to combine all of the other elements of the dish into my bowl. So we don't really need this anymore. Let's assume that I've whipped up my egg whites. So your egg whites are whipped up to a soft peak here. So you've got 4 egg whites there. I've also got my little tiramisu biscuit fingers, so I'm going to use those. But I'm actually going to do this in a big gin and tonic tumbler here. So the gin and tonic tumbler is great. So to start off, I'm going to crack these in half. I'm going to put 2 in the base of the glass, and I'm going to add into this my lovely coffee. So in we go there with the coffee. Okay, and I've also got a little bit of my Tia Maria mix, which is going to go in there as well. So a little bit of the Tia Maria mix, and I'm going to add a bit more of that into the egg yolks as they're cooking off. So we've reached approximately 60 degrees here in the temperature. That's doing really well. My gelatine leaves. Now what you can see here is the gelatine is nice and soft. So I'm going to squeeze the gelatine, just like so. I'm going to replace the water in there, and I'm going to turn this on. So with the gelatine, I want to cook that out, I want to melt that. And what I've got here is a little sieve. It's really important when you're melting the gelatine sheets is that you put that through the little sieve there. So, lovely egg yolks here. So the egg yolks are cooked out. So that's looking good. I'm happy with that. Into that, I'm going to add in my vanilla extract or my vanilla beans. In we go there. Absolutely delicious. I'm going to put a little bit more of my Tia Maria solution in there. And what I'm going to add in now is my mascarpone. So lovely Italian theme today. And if you're having guests around for dinner or you're having friends over for a lazy Sunday brunch, you can do this the day before. You can in fact do it 2 days before. So I've also got in here my egg whites. So straight in there with the egg whites. And I'm going to finish that off with some cream. So you can either whip the cream up, but this machine is going to whip it for me. I've got a ½ liter of fresh cream in there. Okay, there we go. So straight into the cream and then back into my Thermomix. And as I said, the really, really important thing here is to get your flavor balance right. You don't want it to be too salty, too sweet. You could add a little bit of salt in it as well. You know, you've got your kind of a salty caramel base. And then finally, what I'm going to do is I'm going to add in my gelatine sheets. So the gelatine sheets here, I'm going to cook that off. My fingers are a little bit wet, so I'm going to cook that off, but I'm going to add a little bit of my liquid. So the liquid here is looking absolutely amazing. So a little bit of the liquid in there, and that's really just to combine the flavors and to combine the different elements that we have here. So we've got our gelatine sheets, and as I said, a good bit of heat in there. Once that melts down, that's melting pretty much immediately there as we're chatting. And I'm going to add that into my mix, and I'm going to put it through my strainer to make sure we have no shards of gelatine, and then it's going to go straight into the fridge after we've put it into the glass. So that's, there we go. Okay, you can see from here now that gelatine has melted down really nicely. So I'm going to pour that into the mix here. Straight in there. And I just want to make sure that's strained through to make sure if there's any shards of that gelatine, it's going to go straight in there. And then one final mix, and then we're ready to portion out into the glass. Now, as I said, there are quite a few elements to the tiramisu, but if you follow this process, you'll get it right. You can't really go wrong. So, here we go. So we have our tiramisu glass there. So this is a lovely cream, mascarpone cream mix. It's like a custard with mascarpone. I'm then going to put a couple of more of my biscuits in there. I'm going to put a little bit more of my Tia Maria in there. And I'm going to pour in the rest of that beautiful, beautiful cream. And then finally, I'm going to put a bit of the cocoa powder on the top. Now, what you can also do, if you want, when you're serving up, you could put a couple of cocoa beans on top as well. So again, potentially this could be a really, really messy recipe. I'm learning. As the older I get, the less destructive I am in the kitchen. And we have here our finished tiramisu, which is here, which has been in the fridge for about 2 hours. You don't need very much longer than that. And I think we have our chief taster coming over. Raft, do you want to have a little taste of that? See what you think? I know, it is just so beautiful. And again, it's the balance and not having too much sugar, not having too much coffee. That is our wonderful tiramisu. Works beautifully. So I hope you enjoy it. And I can't wait to see you next time we're back. Thank you.